Greetings, this is the Martian, and you're now watching my YouTube series. And I released a book recently called The Universal Justice Age, and I'm doing a series of videos which are just going to be which going to be my timeline over the next year. And when I say things, they're going to come to fruition because that's why I'm here. I'm here as the final arc with Martian, but I was previously here as Christ. And from reading the book, you see why I'm here, and you believe also by watching these videos. And because seeing is believing, reading is believing, as I was hearing, it's all frequency. So yes, I'm here to discuss Africa, and I know there's a lot of anarchy happening in the world, and it's an incredibly scary, frustrating, and difficult time for all of us. I know it is, and I can feel, and we all can feel the sorrow in our hearts, and it's not nice to witness. But please, I can assure you that this is the age of universal justice, and universal means for all, even people operating in the darkness, because it's allowing all to see light and move towards light and have to move towards light. Okay, and what we're seeing in Africa currently with the civil war, by June, okay, by the first week of June, the civil war will end. So over the next month, we're in April, over the next month and the month up to April up until May, we will see the peak and then the fall of the civil war. Okay, and the reason why we're seeing this is because countries need to realize civil war is war between a war in a country with two sides of a country. Isn't it? A civil war. It's because the low frequency and high frequency are the final battle, and we're seeing this all over. A civil war is technically, we see the definitions of civil war as just happening within a country, but no, we're witnessing a civil war all over. It's a civil war between dark and light, and it's not to kill light or remove light. That's not the case. It's to make, sorry, or kill darkness or kill light. Sorry, I'm sorry again. It's not to it's not to kill darkness or remove darkness. It's to move darkness into light. That's why this war is civil unjust. It's to make the darkness realize their ways, and the error of their thinking. And in order for that to happen sometimes, there needs to be resistance. What's going to happen is, over the next month, you will see the civil wars all over the world. The civil war isn't just people fighting physically. It's through war on podcasts, on YouTube, it's through the news, people arguing with the news, congressmen arguing, the president arguing with his vice president, Elon Musk losing his position, and behind the scenes having many arguments, people leaving his side, because that's the civil war, isn't it? That's civil unjust. It's light and darkness having a war between each other, so the darkness can move towards the light and create a union. Union is formed from civil unjust, and if you look historically, civil wars have always led to coalitions, discussions, people saying, okay, right, now let's listen to each other because there's been too much anarchy. And this is what we're seeing. This is why it's a universal civil war we're seeing, for union and light to form. Okay? So in Africa, we are seeing a civil war happening. Please do not be frightened. And also the people in Africa as well, please stay strong. Please use your voices as well. Please speak on TikTok, speak on Instagram. Share your experiences on social media if you can. And if you're too afraid to, that's fine, but share it with your neighbour or your friends, because by speaking to your neighbour, you're also helping them develop and restore light in one way, because they'll speak to the next person and the next person, But Africa is going through this because Africa has faced generations and generations and generations of injustice. Africa has not had true independence. They still have not. It's a continent. And obviously Africa has independent countries, but as a continent, this is Africa-wide. Africa is a beautiful, rich continent with a lot of resources. A lot of resources, a lot of nature, a lot of things which were robbed from them. And even with countries having their independence, the Western leaders have still have put their foot in many countries, such as Congo, where we're seeing a modern slavery. Modern slavery. Because, and that's not from Congo, even though the Congo leaders are part of it, they've been brainwashed by the low frequency coming from the Western world, okay? This is why we're seeing civil unrest in Africa, because all of this needs to be go. It needs to be washed away. Because after the civil war, people are going to, and it's going to end in the first week of June, people are going to realize, no, this never, ever, ever can happen again. As Africa, we need to. Africa already has a United Nations, but the United Nations doesn't operate in a way it should be operating. It should be through trade. It should be through visas. People to travel seamlessly throughout Africa. People be able to communicate with each other, leaders in Africa, and help each other to build and rebuild Africa, and Africa finally getting its universal justice. Because this applies to every continent, every human being will get their justice. Africa, not even longer upon a time, 100 years back, a few hundred years back, even look at the Ashanti region of Ghana was a place full of gold and resources, and metropolis, but yeah, a world of wealth and gold, and it was robbed from them. They were even called a Gold Coast before it got changed to Ghana because it was full of gold. Gold is wealth, gold is resources, not just in a financial sense, but it's good to have around. You're having gold and resources like that in your land adds to its frequency. That's why we have materials like that. It was all robbed from them. You go to museums all over the world and still, monuments from Egypt, which I'll get to, it's in a book and I'll get to in another video, have been robbed by the darkness. And Africa is going to reclaim that plus more. And it's not going to be a case of Africa being above any, because it's not anyone being above anybody. It's about everyone being on a universal stage. And this is what Africa needs to go through this so they can get to that and reclaim. And that's what's going to happen. It's going to open the consciousness of so many African people who are already very consciously aware people, but because they felt like they haven't had control because Westerners have always been involved, it's dampened their ability to say, no, I don't want you here. And what's going to happen is they're going to start saying, I don't want you here. We are still going to trade with every country around the world. They will still trade. See if it's on timer. They will still do that. But they're also going to help build each other, build their consciousness, build their resources, build their lives back up, and reclaim all that the darkness has stolen. And it'll be so beautiful for you to watch over the next years of reclaiming its justice, because this was a long time coming and it's finally here for everybody around the world. But even as I'm saying this right now, I'm feeling emotion, like I'm feeling like all the emotions, of the people who have passed in Africa, people who have lost education, people are struggling right now, people have lost generational wealth and prosperity because of the low frequency, but they didn't put on themselves being restored. It's the scream and sorrows and justice for ancestors. You scream and sorrows of many ancestors, but also the justice for many ancestors as well, who didn't see justice in their lifetimes, but will be seeing it now. So yeah,